Lubba lubba dub dub motherfuckers. What is going on, everyone? It is everyone's favorite jack of all trades with the foul mouth, Commodore Urban, and welcome back to another awesome video, guys. Well, I mean, I guess this isn't going to be an awesome video, even though it is talking about the SS United States and the sad plight that she's in right now. But it is something I want to talk about. But before I do dive into this bitch, I want to make a special shout out to all of you guys, my viewers and my subscribers, for sticking around watching this shit. That's the reason why I fucking do it, for all of you guys. And I also want to give a note. Besides the New York Coalition to save the SS United States, there is two other preservation groups that are now joining the coalition to fight Okaloosa County, and they are the SS United States Preservation Foundation and the SS United States Alliance. So, yay! More and more of us are standing up to these fuckers and telling them where they take their dumbass ideas and where to stick them. Straight their ass. Anyway, a lot of people have been asking me, or have asked me, why I got interested in ships. And more importantly, why did I become so fucking obsessed with the SS United States, and why have I fell in love with this ship? Well, I will explain why. It was all because of one man and one book. And that book was The Only Way to Cross. And that man was the late great John Matone-Graham. Now this book, when I was younger, not this particular copy, but when I was younger, I read this book when I was in elementary school. And my teacher was fucking really shocked, because it is an adult level book. And I read it from cover to cover in about a month. Okay? And I even did a book report on it. But the reason why, and what's really cool about this one is actually signed by John Matone-Graham himself. I want to take this cover off with this keep fucking sliding. But anyway, the reason why I'm telling you this is because in his book, it was chapter 14, and I still remember the chapter very well. Chapter 14, Columbia the Gem. And this is where I learned about the United States. And so, without any further ado, I would like to read to you about the SS United States, written in the words of the late great John Matone-Graham. And after you fucking hear it, you'll understand why I love this ship so much. Alright. Despite a glittering century to its credit, the post-war decade was the most profitable in Cunard's history. It is quite probable that Cunard's singular success prompted American enthusiasm to enter the Atlantic list once more. Congress evidently felt that a superliner could be doubled as a naval auxiliary was a worthwhile investment. It was only to be regretted that they didn't authorize funds enough for a parallel. There was something of the Leviathan's pathetic isolation inbred into the United States. Her sole disadvantage was the absence of a competent running mate. However, incorporated into the ship was every possible refinement of naval architecture. Although her design phase occupied 5 years, from 1943 to 1948, she had been on the mental drawing board of 30. William Francis Gibbs finally had his chance. Into that sleek racing hall he packed every technologically advancement that he and the Navy could afford. She was to be in effect a $79 million wonder, a red, white, and blue retaliatory weapon whose image Gibbs had cherished since his youth. To know the ship, one must know her designer. Besides being a perfectionist, Gibbs had a basic antagonism for Europeans and their accomplishments. The truth is that it galled at him. Privately, that preeminence in his chosen field seemed to be a traditional European prerogative that American shipping interests were unable to overcome the economic pitfalls of building and operating superliners. This foreign domination of the giant Atlantic merchant fleets offended Gibbs's old-fashioned, ingrained patriotism. He was a firm believer in American know-how methods and had been balked for most of his career by the inability of the United States to to implement the know-how and those methods for maritime supremacy. Yet he wasn't above borrowing from overseas competitors when it suited him. Within a day of the Normandy's first arrival in America, Gibbs and a male secretary joined anonymously within thousands of fellow New Yorkers lining up a visit on board. In mid-tour, Gibbs suddenly signaled to his companion, and they ducked through a doorway marked "Crew Only." For the next 2 hours, America's foremost naval architect burrowed through all the engine spaces of the Normandy, poking, peering, and somehow evading the duty engineers. Then the two men retired to a corner of the smoking room, and Gibbs poured out for immediate dictation a dizzy accompaniment of facts and figures. Almost total recall of the controversial turbo-electric drive hinges absorbed. When the United States was afloat, there was more than routine naval security that kept her technical data under wraps. It was Gibbs' own sense of jealous secrecy. He was well aware that others could duplicate his own piracy. But then again, there were vital national issues at stake. In building his dream ship, he was not merely fulfilling a commission. He was accepting a self-imposed mandate to sweep the Atlantic forever. He had 3 great passions in life: ships, theater, and fire engines. It was hardly surprising that 2 of his most epic legacies was the world's fastest passenger liner and the world's most powerful fire pumper in existence. On board the United States, he evaluated fire precaution to a religion hitherto unknown. An effective publicity gimmick for the new ship claimed that the only wood on board contained was in the butcher's chopping block and the pianos. In fact, Gibbs was anxious to eliminate these, and badgered Theodore Steinway for months to provide him with an aluminum instrument, but Steinway refused and won the point after he ignited a mahogany piano doused in gasoline. Gibbs neglected to publicize the fact that balsa wood filled the bilge keels, and that propeller housings were lined with traditional lignum vitae. But then again, he would probably argue that those areas were not passenger spaces. But his reluctant musical compromise seemed only to increase his phobia elsewhere on board. Prior to her final acceptance, fire-retarded paints and fabrics were subject to brutal testing on abandoned piers near Newport News. Completely decorated steel cabin mock-ups were put to the torch. And during fitting out, the ship's captain was presented with a handsome reclining chair for his day cabin, but Gibbs had it personally removed from the ship because it had a wooden frame. Similarly, a score of handsome radios were presented to the ship's officers, which were banned because of the mahogany cabinets. Some years later, Gibbs came across a wooden shelf and one the bakers had installed for his convenience. And when the next time the United States came to a home port, a perfect reproduction of the offending item was produced in aluminum and given to the astonished baker. The United States was lavishly decorated with etchings, lithographs, and of course watercolors, but no oil paintings. The oars in the aluminum lifeboats were hollow aluminum as well. In fact, there had never been anywhere or any time such assemblage of aluminum as rose engraving dock number 10 at Newport News during 1950 and 1951. And it says here that, fortunately, by building the United States on perfectly horizontal keel bar, he not only spared the ship the rigors of a traditional launch, but was able to facilitate the loading on prefabricated components. Those who were invited to watch Miss Tom Connolly christen the ship on the 23rd of June of 1951 saw a vessel that was 2/3 complete. Engines, boilers, bridge, and funnels were in place, and advance permitted by dry dock construction. The United States had a brace of sampan top funnels, together with a silhouette that seemed at first reminiscent of Gibbs' last great passenger liner, the pre-war America. Yet even when the tugs pulled her out into the river, her broadside perspective betrayed a definitive preoccupation with speed. Even at rest, the ship seemed to strain at the leash. There was a rake clipper stem and a hull that seemed as glassy smooth as an almost complete absence of rivets could make it. Her funnels, the largest ever installed on any boat deck, had not only a purposeful rig, but a massive no-nonsense strength to them. She looked like a champion. All along the sweep of her 990 feet, Gibbs had created a mid-20th century throwback to the aesthetics of the German racers that defied the British 50 years earlier. There wasn't an ounce of superfluous flesh on her, only a lean frame that hinted strongly at the blue ribbon end. Yeah, fucking crazy, right? Inside, she was impeccable, if slightly cold. Flotation reserve requirements forbade the vast, open spaces that were a little monumental luxury in traditional sense. All was metal synthetics, low-key and understated. Glass panels were used to good effect as on the Normandy, but the profusion of patriotic emblems adhering to the walls gave some portion of the ship like a cookie-cutter display. With none of the opulence commonly associated with Atlantic travel, she had a clean, aesthetic look that was occasionally carried into the sterile. Here's the real part, though. The ship's real glory lay below in the forbidden sanctuary of the engine spaces. There were only 8 boilers, 6 of which were operated at any one time. The steam generated within impact an enormous wallop, particularly when compared to America's first Atlantic steam venture 133 years earlier, the Savannah. Her boiler pressure was 1 pound per square inch, and had increased 1,000-fold on the United States, and boosted a superheated 980 degrees Fahrenheit. These figures, highly confidential at the time of her maiden voyage, were not released to the public until the mid-60s. Her designers are still reluctant to discuss the matter of shaft horsepower. Extreme measures were taken to restrict performance details during the trials. Chief Engineer William Kaiser ordered canvas covers lashed over the engine room revelation counters, barring even those privileged souls on board satisfaction of knowing just how well Gibbs's incredible ship could do. Her power plant was a miracle of marine engineering. Sophisticated alloys wrought into the world's most powerful turbines. The ship's evaporators, christened the Kaiser's Waterworks, could distill 200,000 gallons of water daily. A high output designed to reduce the weight of drinking water carried with a shipload of troops. And then it goes on talking about the ship's maiden voyage, and it was a very memorable one. Like right here it says, there was a 60-mile-an-hour gale blowing as the United States approached the finish line at Bishop's Rock the morning of the 4th day. And then it talks about how the ship was the first ship in 100 years since the Arctic of the Collins Line had won in 100 years earlier. And of course there are some very nice pictures of her within this book. And then of course in a little bit here afterwards it says in 1969, 2 years after William Francis Gibbs had died, his ship died too. The United States was condemned to a death of early middle age, victim of a familiar American malaise, prohibitive union scales and dwindling passenger revenues. She was withdrawn from service indefinitely and lies today in the quiet backwater of the same river that saw her birth. No, not. She's actually in Mobile, Alabama, getting her ass torn apart. So, there you go, guys. That's pretty much how I fell in love with the United States, was because of John Matone-Graham's book, The Only Way to Cross. And I would like to say thank you to the late great John Matone-Graham for writing that book. If it wasn't for him, who knows? I probably wouldn't even be obsessed with the ship as I am now. So there you go, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you have any questions or comments about anything, leave them in the fucking comment section below. I'll get back with you. And if you're new to the channel, like the shit I fucking do, hit the fucking subscribe button, hit the damn notification bell. Never miss a video from yours truly ever again. And until next time, this is Commodore Urban, saying that smooth seas and clear skies, and happy sailing with you. God bless you all. Take care, stay safe, be yourselves. Jesus and the good Lord love y'all very much. And until next time, I'll catch you on a warm trade when hell anyone knows, and anchors away, motherfuckers, and God bless the SS United States. Thank you very much.